It wasn't cocaine. It wasn't a gun. In 1960s Jamaica, the contraband people risked their freedom for a book. Ordinary Jamaicans wrapped copies of Malcolm X's autobiography in newspapers and hid them under mattresses, because if the police found it, you could end up behind bars. Think about that. A story, just words on a page, treated as a crime. But this wasn't just a Jamaican story. Across the Caribbean, books have been banned, censored, and branded too dangerous to read. Why were our leaders so afraid of forbidden pages? And why do some bans still exist today? The act of banning a book is never neutral. It reveals fear of knowledge, fear of identity, fear of ordinary people discovering forbidden truths. From colonial governors to independent governments, from schools to libraries, leaders across the Caribbean have used censorship to silence voices, erase identities, and control the narrative. This story is about those battles. The books they didn't want us to see. The banned texts, they said, could poison our minds. The controversial reads that, once you know the reasons why, it will leave you shaken. We often think of banned books as something that happens far away, Nazi Germany, Stalin's Russia, or apartheid South Africa. But right here in the Caribbean, from Kingston to Havana, from Port of Spain to Belize, the same fears played out. Obeah manuals, Garvey's newspaper, Black Power writings, novels with bad words, even a horse story called Black Beauty, all banned, some for politics, some for sexuality, some simply because they revealed too much truth. Stay with us for interesting facts. Colonial censors and the war on identity, Obeah under attack. Long before the emergence of Black Power, Caribbean leaders feared something else: the influence of African spirituality. In 1898, Jamaica passed the infamous Obeah law, criminalizing not only the practice of Obeah, but even the possession of its instruments. The law extended to books, texts on divination, healing, and ancestral wisdom. Today, Jamaica still officially bans all publications by a Chicago publisher, DeLawrence & Co., known for works like the 6th and 7th books of Moses. The Cayman Islands also keep such books on their prohibited publications order. To the colonial authorities, Obeah wasn't just superstition. It was power, psychological and communal power that threatened the plantation order. To outlaw the books was to sever people from ancestral knowledge, branding their heritage as criminal. Garvey's Negro World. By the 1920s, the danger wasn't magic, but ideas. Marcus Garvey's newspaper, Negro World, spread across the Caribbean like wildfire, carried in by seamen and sold secretly in villages and towns. It preached Pan-African pride, economic independence, and black self-determination. For colonial governments, this was sedition. By 1920, Negro World was banned in Jamaica, Trinidad, Guyana, and Belize. Authorities feared the newspaper more than any weapon because it connected workers across islands and across continents into one movement. One banned text carried a whole philosophy of freedom. Independence and the Cold War, chill, the Rodney affair. Fast forward to 1968. Walter Rodney, a Guyanese historian teaching at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus, was banned from Jamaica while returning from a Black Writers' Conference. His crime? Not violence, but knowledge. Rodney had been grounding with Rastafarians and Kingston's poor, teaching African history and exposing the lies behind Jamaica's motto, "Out of many, one people." His message was published as The Groundings with My Brothers, a book that still remains one of the most controversial banned texts in Caribbean history. Rodney's ban sparked riots. Students marched from uptown Mona to downtown Kingston, uniting with Rastafarians and the poor in protests that shook the government to its core. The Black Power ban list. Rodney wasn't alone. In the same period, the Jamaican government compiled an extensive list of forbidden pages. The autobiography of Malcolm X, Black Power by Stokely Carmichael and Charles Hamilton, the writings of Elijah Muhammad, even the Black Panther Party newspaper. And then came the most ridiculous mistake of all. Black Beauty, Anna Sewell's 19th century horse novel, accidentally banned simply because of its title. The absurdity of this shows just how blunt and fearful censorship can be. They weren't reading, they were just deleting anything with the word black. The Cuban case, revolution, and silence. While Jamaica feared black power, Cuba's revolution feared ideological impurity. In Castro's Cuba, the rule was simple. Within the revolution, everything. Against the revolution, nothing. Writer Reynaldo Arenas was persecuted for both his dissent and his homosexuality. His works, such as Before Night Falls, were banned, and he was imprisoned before escaping during the Mariel boat lift. José Lezama Lima, another giant of Cuban literature, was silenced after publishing Paradiso, condemned for its homoeroticism. In Cuba, censorship fused politics with morality. To challenge the revolution, or to live openly queer, was treated as counter-revolutionary. Modern classrooms and morality wars. Beka Lam. In 2008, Jamaica's education ministry removed Beka Lam by Z. Edgell from the CXC syllabus. Why? Too many bad words. But Beka Lam isn't radical propaganda. It's a coming-of-age story set in Belize, exploring the theme of independence. Critics said banning it over expletives was cultural self-censorship, stripping away the authenticity of Caribbean voices in favor of sanitized respectability. To Sir, with love. This wasn't the first time. Back in the 1960s, Guyanese author E.R. Braithwaite's To Sir, with Love was pulled from Jamaica's libraries. But the attempt backfired. Students who never touched the book before suddenly couldn't get enough of it. Banning created curiosity, not obedience. The diaspora dimension. The story doesn't end in the islands. In the United States and Canada, where millions of Jamaicans and other Caribbean people live, book bans are still alive. Angie Thomas's The Hate You Give, which deals with police brutality, racism, and code switching, has been pulled from schools in Texas and even Nova Scotia. The reasons echo history, profanity, anti-police messages, too much truth. For Caribbean diaspora families, this feels familiar. The same silencing once used against Garvey and Rodney now targets the voices of a new generation. So, here's the shocker. In 2025, Jamaica still officially bans Obeah-related books under a law written in 1898. Yes, an independent nation still upholding colonial censorship against African knowledge. This isn't just history, it's happening right now. Bonus facts. Fact 1. A Jamaican plantation owner, Matthew Gregory Lewis, wrote The Monk in 1796, a novel so scandalous for its sex and blasphemy that it was nearly banned in Britain. His fortune came from enslaved labor. Fact 2. During the Cold War, Jamaica banned not only Black Power books, but also all publications from China, Moscow, and Cuba, even technical or harmless texts. Fact 3. The diaspora has always been a lifeline. Rodney's banned speeches were first published abroad, ensuring his ideas reached a global audience. Fact 4. Some Caribbean governments still maintain colonial-style censorship lists today, proof that the battle for intellectual freedom isn't over. From Obeah to Garvey, from Rodney to Arenas, from Beka Lam to The Hate You Give, the pattern is clear. Banned books expose the fears of the powerful. Fear of African identity, fear of political unity, fear of sexuality, fear of authenticity, But every ban also sparked resistance. Smuggled newspapers, diaspora publishers such as Boga Louverture print Rodney's work in London. Students demanding books they weren't supposed to touch. The real forbidden truth is this: censorship never killed an idea, it only made it stronger. If you believe our stories deserve to be read and remembered, don't let them stay hidden. Subscribe now to Impacting Jamaica and help keep these forbidden pages alive.